It started with whispers. At first, Elena thought she was imagining it. The faint murmurs drifting through the old house, the strange shivers that ran down her spine when she was alone. But as the days passed, the whispers grew louder, clearer. They called her name. They begged her to listen. Her mother-in-law, Marta, had never liked her. From the moment Elena married Daniel, Marta had been distant, cold. There was something unsettling about the way she watched Elena, her dark eyes unreadable. But Elena never suspected Marta could be capable of something so evil. Then the accidents began. Daniel fell ill for no reason. Their newborn son cried endlessly at night, his eyes wide with fear. Shadows moved in the corners of the room when no one was there. The house felt wrong. Objects disappeared and reappeared in strange places. Mirrors cracked without explanation. Elena woke up with bruises she couldn't explain. One night, unable to sleep, Elena went to the kitchen for some water. That's when she saw her. Marta was sitting at the table, whispering in a language Elena didn't understand. The dim candlelight flickered over strange symbols drawn on the wooden surface. A small, blackened object lay before her, a twisted, burned doll, wrapped in strands of Elena's own hair. The air smelled of sulfur and rotting earth, making Elena's stomach churn. Elena gasped and stepped back, but the floor creaked beneath her feet. Marta's head snapped up, and for the first time, Elena saw what hid behind those dark eyes. They weren't human. A slow, twisted smile spread across Marta's face. "You shouldn't be here, dear." Elena ran. She locked herself in the bedroom, heart pounding, trying to wake Daniel, but he wouldn't stir. The baby's cries grew louder, more frantic. Then, the door creaked open by itself. A chill swept through the room. The shadows stretched toward her, curling like fingers. A deep, guttural voice echoed from the darkness. "She called us, and now we are here." Elena grabbed her son and ran. She didn't stop until she reached the town's old church, pounding on the doors, until the priest let her in. He listened, nodding gravely, then disappeared into the back room. When he returned, he held an ancient book, its pages yellowed with age. "The ritual is complete," he said. "Your mother-in-law summoned something, and now it won't leave." Elena knew she had to end it. Returning home was the only way. When she stepped through the front door, the house was silent. Too silent. Marta was nowhere to be seen. But the whispers, they were everywhere. She followed them to the basement, where the air was thick with the scent of decay. A single candle burned in the center of the room, casting flickering shadows on the walls. And there, standing in the circle of light, was Marta. Only it wasn't Marta anymore. Her skin was gray, her eyes black voids. Her lips twisted into an unnatural grin. "It's too late," she hissed. The shadows lunged. Elena screamed, holding her son close, but the priest's words echoed in her mind. "Fire cleanses evil." With trembling hands, she knocked over the candle, setting the dry wood ablaze. The flames spread quickly, devouring the darkness. The whispers turned into agonized shrieks. The walls trembled as a force beyond comprehension howled in rage. Marta's form writhed, her skin cracking like old parchment, the blackness inside her leaking out in thick, inky streams. The house burned through the night, the fire consuming everything. Elena stood outside, clutching her son, watching as the home that had once been filled with love turned to nothing but charred remains. The town whispered of tragedy, of a terrible accident. No one believed her story. By morning, Daniel woke up, his illness gone. The baby slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. And Marta. Marta was never found. But sometimes, late at night, Elena still hears the whispers, calling her name, begging her to listen. And in the darkness, she wonders, did she truly escape? Or is something still waiting, watching, biding its time? But it wasn't over. Not yet. Weeks passed, and the nightmares began. Elena saw Marta in her dreams, her twisted grin stretching wider, her voice no longer human. She would wake up gasping for breath, her skin ice cold. Then, the bruises returned. Deep black marks wrapped around her wrists, as if unseen hands had grabbed her in the night. One evening, as she tucked her son into bed, the baby monitor crackled to life. A low, static-filled whisper echoed from the speaker. "We never left." Elena's blood ran cold. She grabbed the monitor, her hands shaking, but all she could hear now was the gentle breathing of her sleeping child. She tried to move on, convincing herself it was just her imagination. But the signs kept coming. The air in her home grew heavy, suffocating. Dark shadows flickered at the edge of her vision. And then, one night, she woke up to find her son's crib empty. A single word was scratched into the wall beside it. "Mine." A scream tore from her throat as she searched the house, her heart pounding. She found him in the hallway, standing still, staring at the dark corner of the room. His tiny voice whispered, "Grandma is here." The house was no longer hers. The evil had never left. Desperate, Elena returned to the priest, demanding to know how to end it, once and for all. He hesitated before revealing the truth. "Marta's soul is bound to you," he said. "As long as you live, she will never rest." Elena's breath caught in her throat. There was only one way to truly be free. She had to sever the connection. A ritual that required a price, a life for a life. She stood over the altar, knife in hand, her heart pounding. Could she do it? Could she end this before it consumed her child? In the shadows, Marta watched, smiling, waiting. The whispers returned, deafening now, a chorus of voices that would never let her go. And as Elena raised the blade, she knew it was already too late.